Hi everyone, good morning and welcome to my desk. Today I want to talk about the Seiko Mini Turtle. Seiko watches are a gateway into the world of automatic watches for many enthusiasts, and this certainly was mine. I did have another Seiko 5 that was my first automatic watch, but that one really didn't do it for me, and I think this watch is really what got me going in this hobby. I held off on buying this watch at first just because I really didn't want to spend that much, and when it was going out of stock, a large dose of FOMO shot through my brain, and I paid over retail about $450 to get one of these shipped from somewhere rather far away. The specs on this watch are the case diameter is 42.3 millimeters, the lug to lug is 43 millimeters. The case thickness is 13 millimeters. The lug width is 20. And a couple more dimensions that I want to discuss just with this watch at least is the bezel diameter is only 39 and the dial inside is only about 30 millimeters wide. It has a 4R35 movement inside, a tried and tested Seiko movement. There's an NH35 variant of that movement as well that's used by many micro brands. It has a hardlex crystal, so not sapphire, but I found it to be pretty robust. The price, I think for a new one, depending on the variant, you could pay between $350 to $400. It has a matte black dial with quite a peculiar shape for the indices. I've heard it been called tombstone style indices, which I think is quite original and different from most other watches in this price point. The case has circular brushing on the top and a polished finish to the lower half, and then the entire case back as well, including the wave motif that's used on the Seiko divers. The bezel has an aluminum insert. It has horizontal brushing on this side, and a polished finish just for the thin little part that you see around the bezel there. I also kind of like that it has a lume pip on the triangle there that marks the 0 point, which is not present in more of the affordable Seiko line of diver watches. It also looks like a gear when you look at it from the top, just because of the way the notches are shaped. And the movement of the bezel is a really kind of a cushioned, damped kind of clicking feel, rather than an overly springy and metallic kind of clicking feel that you find in some watches. And I kind of like it. It might just be the type of mechanism that Seiko uses. I think they've done a good job there. It has a flat hardlex crystal with a really thin chamfered edge on the side, which gives you another thing to look at. And I really have not been able to scratch this yet, and I do bang up my watches pretty quick just because the kind of work that I do. And also my 2-year-old daughter will find these watches sitting on my desk sometimes, and she'll kind of beat them up. I really quite like the handset as well. It's the same that's used on their SKX line of watches and some other budget watches from Seiko as well. And it kind of has a nice aesthetic, especially the seconds hand with the counterbalanced lollipop. The physics of the long hand stretching out, weighted off by the little lollipop on the other side, it really kind of makes sense. The minute and hour hands have a brushed finish with a generous amount of space for lume application as well. I even kind of like the magnifier for the date. I've heard that people don't like that too much, but I think it adds more visual interest to the watch and gives you another thing to look at. And the symmetry of a circular magnifier is quite nice. On the arm, it wears really well, not too big and not too small either, but maybe it's a little towards the larger side for my 6.5 inch wrist. The comfort is really good normally, but I ride a bicycle to work and it's an hour-long ride, and it inevitably digs into the back of my hand, and it really kind of hurts just where this crown protrudes out. I think it's because it doesn't have any crown guards, so there's no smooth transition, it's just a sharp edge. And with my bike, when I'm riding, it keeps digging into the back of my hand right there. The other thing that I appreciate is that it feels really sturdy and the movement is very quiet. Some other watches and movements that I've owned, you can hear them from quite a bit of distance, even when they're swaying next to you on your arm. So I do like that about this watch. And although this is considered a budget watch, I'm not sure how true that is anymore. If I was getting into a new hobby, I personally would not want to spend more than maybe $300 for something that I don't know if I'm gonna like and keep and enjoy. And I wouldn't know enough about buying used. So maybe some micro brands are better options sometimes. Everything on my watch did line up, from the bezel to the chapter ring and the applied indices, and I really was pretty happy about that, but I didn't know otherwise. I do have this watch on a green rubber strap right now, which is not what it came on. It came on this black rubber strap that you could see, and you might be able to tell that it's pretty worn. There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually a really nice and soft rubber strap, much better than the SKX straps. To sum it up, I really like this watch and I keep coming back to it every 2 weeks or so. Although I have some other slightly more expensive watches, I miss this guy the most. I usually wear a watch for a week before I change it out for another one. One is because I just don't want to be setting the time and date on these automatic watches so often. And also, even if it was a quartz watch, once I wear it, I kind of want to experience it for a little bit longer. This watch has probably become my yardstick mentally and emotionally that I measure most other watches to, based on their price point and everything else that goes with the type of watch it is. But in my head, this does set a high bar for other watches to beat. Alright, that's it from me. Thank you for listening. Ciao.